welcome guest. Pleasure to have you with us this evening. As always, Toastmasters delivers. Okay. And Ed did that this evening with a diverse and amazing topic. A challenging topic, of which we all need to be challenged many times. Okay. You brought me into the topic right off. We don't follow being informed as much as we should. So there's a call to action there for us as people to support poor, unfortunate animals that cannot help themselves. And I think most of us don't give credence or thought to a lot of what they go through. So, very sensitive topic, but a very good one. I love the strength of your voice. You have a very powerful speaking voice. You articulate well. There were times you showed some really good variety of tonality that if I was kind of sleeping a little bit, you brought me right back. And that was really, really good. The context of the speech, a call, keeping us, or our responsibility to be informed, I think got diminished a little bit because of how much you express the topic itself. Okay, so it brings us back to the assignment was the purpose, which was inform yourself, kind of got watered down because, again, of the topic and how the whole speech became involved in that. Not bad, but it just took away a little bit about what the specific was that you were going to be speaking on. A couple of things that I would like to suggest. As you were walking up to the podium, you adjusted yourself, and that took my attention away. Also, get out from behind the podium. Okay? And you relied very heavily on your notes, almost as if you were reading them. So you knew your topic well, and sometimes that can just be a nervousness that we don't want to fail or do anything, but it's in those spots of failure without the notes that we grow. So just a thought on that. What was the strong call to action that we needed? What I needed to be brought forward more with a stronger call of action to wrap it up. But overall, I believe that it was a very valuable message. The contents of what you were sharing, it was a siren call, and I would call it a very distinguished speech. Thank you.
John G. is our second evaluator. Evaluator Road.
Thank you, Nate. Hey, everybody. I enjoyed Laura's speech this evening. I find that when she comes up here, I think that Laura is impressive. She has a wonderful presence about her, good appearance. Actually, she's tall, she has good posture. That projects herself right well from the beginning. She's dressed professionally, she has a professional bearing about her. And she also has a friendly seriousness about her, which is nice. It's a professional bearing that is very attractive, and I think in a person in possibly a therapeutic role or something of that nature, because it tends to give confidence at the same time and be reinforcing as well. I think that would have the effect on Richard, and I think people are listening to the speech as well. Good eye contact as you came up here. I thought you connected well with everybody. You had an excellent speaking voice. I find your voice to be very pleasant to listen to. The pacing was good. The pausing was well done. A couple of problems at the beginning, I thought. One is that you were leaning on the podium from the start. You tend to lean on the podium, and part of that might have been a function of using the notes. You were staying close to the notes. And I thought that you could have really improved the speech by moving around a little bit. Now, you were using the notes for a lot of reference. I think you were trying to stay right on line with what you were trying to say. But I think there was still room to move around, and more gesturing as well. sometimes when you're standing in one position, there's a tendency not to gesture quite as actively as you might otherwise. And also at the beginning, you also said, please bear with me. And there was really no need to bear with you. As you know that, I dislike apologies at the beginning of speeches, particularly when they're not warranted, because that certainly wasn't warranted. However, you have a wonderful connection with the audience. You come across being genuine, honest. You're interested, I think, in the people that are listening to what you're saying. A good in-depth description of the relationship that you had with Richard, how that relationship developed, meaningful, emotional. It was good back and forth between you and the patient. It was you distinguished, I would say, between your role and also the role as a patient who was listening to you. Educational, you showed us you gave us a different understanding of death taught by a Reiki instructor, so we see death slightly differently from that. And you also showed how the quality of his life was improving even as he was physically failing. So we learned from Richard, and one of the beauties of this type of a presentation and the insight we get into what you're experiencing with him and through Reiki is that it shows that sometimes healing can take place even in death, and also how a person can contribute as he contributed to you at some level, and also his message is continuing to us. So all in all, it was wrapped up quite well, and I thought it was a delightful presentation.
And our third evaluator is Laura. Evaluating Kevin.
Kevin has a very jovial, very fun personality about him. He's one of those people that you just love to love, you know. And, you know, he's very passionate. I've seen him speak a few times, and, you know, he's very passionate about his literary readings that he does. I did find him quite funny. He loves stories about dogs. Anything about dogs or anything about the universe, you've already got me by attention already. Got my attention, hook, line, and sinker. Although I was sad to hear the stories about him dying. So that kind of was a little bit of a weeper. I did feel that you had a very good fluctuation in tonality, so it was very easy to follow you when it comes to which character you were speaking of. So it was very easy for us to say, okay, yep, you're speaking of this person. So you did good vocal tonality, good changes, and very good distinctions. The only thing I would probably say, if anything I could say to improve, is I feel like you were pacing just a little bit too much. Because of the nature of what you were speaking about, I felt the pacing may have been slightly distracting from, especially when you're changing characters back and forth. So the pacing may have been just a little bit too much and trying to follow the changes in tonality of which character was which. And I would also say maybe a little bit more eye contact, because sometimes those facial cues or eye contact with the type of work that you're doing can also enhance more of the story that you're saying. So
the manual said to avoid eye contact with the audience, so like reading the play, like almost like I believe that's what it said. But I was debating whether to like use the stage or to stay behind the podium.
yeah, I mean, you used the stage. This is from what I'm seeing, using the stage. But I felt like you were doing the pacing was good, but I felt it was just a little, just a hair, a little too much. I just feel like, you know. I'm very ADD, hugely, so for me, it's hard for me sometimes to focus and follow the story. You had a very complex thing that you were doing, which required very specific changes in tonality and pitches and all those different things. So I would just say just a hair down, and then it would allow us to hear you more. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Yeah, other than that, you did a wonderful job. I really loved the story, and I felt you did an amazing job. And the sense of humor was hysterical, too.